part of that. And then later, 15 minutes later to be exact, 3,000 plus athletes dove in rolling start fashion to this gorgeous swim, and they made quick work of that non-wetsuit swim. But here is a look of Jan Frodeno. His only stumble on the day was that looks like hamstring cramp. As you said, he popped up from horizontal to vertical and just struggled a bit, but put that right behind him. And the chase pack, 16 strong, including Sebastian, Kienle, and Patrick Lange came out of the water to chase. Okay, I'll say his second stumble was when he couldn't get his helmet buckled, but he overcame that as well, the true champ that he is.
There's going to be more stumbles on the way, but wait for him. But yeah, he heads out. We got the chaser, Sebastian Kienle, having some trouble getting his bottles out there. And he did look like he stepped on something. We saw Mark Allen, or heard Mark Allen say that he noticed him limping as well. So he got that done. Some high stepping coming out of the water for Sarah True and the rest of the front leader of the women's group. And we see that rest of the age group field. But Jan Frodeno did not waste any time going to the front of the bike horse, nor did Sebastian Kienle, and I think he put in a little extra burst when he went by Lange.
I think he did, and that's the fun part. But here is where we saw some fancy footwork from Jan Frodeno. Locked up the brakes, managed to leap the curb, hit the off-road section, keep the bike upright in the wrong gear, shift right back out, and get back to rolling. Oof. So some very fancy footwork on two wheels for Jan Frodeno. And then Imogen Simmons was leading that women's race, has been leading for quite a while, as we look at footage again of, as you said, a super aerodynamic tuck of Sebastian Kienle.
Yeah, and there we go. Frodo making sure he gets some hydration on board, grabbing some water bottles or some Interbeat as he goes through the aid stations. Not bringing any on board, which is a surprise to both of us, but just taking what he needs in the aid station. He doesn't want any extra weight while he's rolling through the German countryside. But beautiful shots as we go through the course here today. These helicopter shots are pretty money.
They are. They're great. And here we are overhead once again looking down on Jan Frodeno. You can see the signature white race kit that he's been wearing for the last several years. White helmet, very good in a hot day like
on the left, but not like barely. I mean, not barely, sure. but a fair bit. But they haven't had their best days against each other, I don't believe. What kind of gap do you think, if they're both having good days in the heat, Frodo needs to be able to outrun Lange? I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like it's like a 10-minute thing. It's got to be pretty tight, right?
It's got to be pretty tight. And just look at the PRs. So last year, we did see Lange run 2:39 in Hawaii, right? Here on this course, he came in and he did an exceptional third place with 2:47.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just kind of look at that's a big spread. He actually did quite a bit better in Hawaii, but in favorite with this group. As we scroll back and rewind the footage here, this is when the men dove into the water here at the Lange Valsi. It was essentially a two-lap course, one 1,500-meter course led by Jan Frodeno. Hit solid ground, and he just kept doing the same thing, led the second line through that area. That's right. I think one of the other things that we just mentioned, we talked about Jan Frodeno, and I like to look at this, is Lange on the right side of your screen here has he's not really able to get that heel down in sort of power position. He points a lot more at the bottom, and I feel like that's really costing him. I think that gives away a little bit of the power that you could be generating on the backside there, you know, and it's just something that maybe he could look at as we keep an eye, Matt, on yet another German former Ironman world champion, Norman Stadler. He's come in and said, "Go Frodo." So we see you out there, and that's our 2004, 2006 winner over in Kona. What a great champion, and he's watching here on Facebook Watch. So thanks for being here, Norman, and we'll pass along your cheers for your countrymen.
Yeah, and that's a classic German hero in Norman Stadler. Patrick Lange talked a little bit earlier about German men and kind of that that challenge. And
this course, he came in and he did an exceptional third place with 2:47.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just kind of look at that's a big spread. He actually did quite a bit better in Hawaii. But as you look at Frodeno, we've mentioned his last year, he was 2:39 here, and he just ran away from Lange. He just made it done.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, if we really sat in there and said, well, who's better? They've both run 2:39 in the past, but I honestly think that Lange needs to be with Frodeno. I don't think he's that. I think in June 30th, I don't think that Lange has more than Frodeno at this point. I think Lange has more. He gains more between now and October.
Okay.
But he comes here with equal or less than Frodeno. That's my view. I think Frodeno comes here. He knows that he's. I think they just have to be even. I think right now, if Lange doesn't catch Frodeno, he's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're not wrong there. I think it's probably a couple minutes maybe, but that's the thing that is so crazy about Frodeno, and so many people you alluded to earlier use that GOAT, the greatest of all time. And no offense to the man on the screen here, but even though he has the fastest times in Kona, you don't hear that thrown around as much with him, because Frodeno is like such a ridiculous swimmer. He can ride away from everybody in the front of the thing and then still go run a 2:37 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think, to expect, generally when we see someone that can hold a gap like this by themselves on the bike, they have an Achilles heel, which is generally on the run, and they're trying to get as much room as they can because they need 7 minutes to be able to hold on for the win, where Frodo's like, no, this is a race. I'm just going to go as hard as I can all day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. It's great. And as we watch now, we're back to on camera the two-time Ironman world champion, and he's the defending world champion, Patrick Lange. If you don't recognize him, then you've probably not been paying attention. But what he's about to see is the whiteboard, and that whiteboard tells him exactly how far up the road and how far back the road the people are that he wants to beat. So
yeah. I don't think that's going to be good news if he knows he's 6 minutes down. I mean, he's doing the math already. He's like, well, I know on a decent day Frodo can, and I'm saying decent, on a decent day Frodo can run a 2:42. That means I got to run a 2:36. And that being, all being fair, Lange has probably run under 2:40 than he has over 2:40. I mean, the amount of times that guy's run under 2:40 is crazy. It's a top-notch, and as you said, like a season-defining performance. You can't just run 2:35 every time you come off the bike. That's something you have to kind of peak to, right?
My records only show him going under 2:40 twice. But remember, he's not done that many Ironmans, because this is the funny thing. He did that first 2:40. We saw him at Ironman Texas. It was a short bike course because of the change.
2:40.01.
But it's not under. So, but look at he runs exceptionally. But look at the stats here.
Yeah.
He's done twice under 2:40. But we're talking about a great barrier there. 2:40 is exceptional.
Huge.
You're exactly right. What your point was is accurate. The fact is the guy is a little motorboat on wheels.
Yeah.
So now we're watching here again as we come back to Daniela. She's someone that came in here as a favorite. She came in here as the German hope, the top German hope, and she came in here with the experience of multiple wins under her belt. And right now we're seeing her on camera for really the first time since some early quick footage. That means she's moving her way through and she's making headway. What do you see on the splits, man?
Yeah, she absolutely is. So she's now moved her way to the front of that chasing group that includes Sarah True, Sky, Kimberly Morrison. She's now 5:43 back, but she's only 2 minutes now behind Amelia Watkinson. So I believe that's 3 minutes closer than she was out of the water. But she's driving this kind of chase pack, and she's the one who's dictating this effort and kind of letting everybody know what the bike ride's going to be.
And she's someone that's going to come on strong. We've seen her win 4 Ironman titles. I remember last year's Ironman Italy, she did devastating work on the bike. She works very well in the second half. This is someone that I see watching the power and recognizing exactly what she's capable of. A lot of athletes, especially newer ones, don't realize that it should feel relatively doable, if not easy, doable. So when you're in the first 80, 90, 100K of a race of this distance, that effort shouldn't feel crazy hard. It should feel hard for the next 60, 70, 80K.
Absolutely.
But what Daniela Blamel does very well is she sort of doles out the power efficiently and effectively all the way to the end. And she's got 185 kilometers to do it today. So we'll watch her do that, and I think you're going to see her strength and experience shine through later and later.
Absolutely. And we look at her here, you know, we talked about athletes and their narrow aerodynamics. You know, looking at her hand position here, Michael, like that's as narrow as it gets. Her elbows are almost touching. Her hands are on top of each other. She's making that leading edge very narrow. She's got her head tucked in as much as it can be near those hands. The gap between her hands and her head's pretty tight. So her aerodynamic position is really, really good. And, you know, it's she's not working hard to go fast. I mean, she is working hard to go fast. But she's also got aerodynamics on her side so that when she's not pushing hard and she's in a spot on the course where she's moving quickly, she's doing so a little bit easier because that aerodynamics is on her side.
That's right. Great points and good drawing there, because I do think that shows a great picture. As we jump back, you can see the yellow, sorry, that's just an athlete that's getting kind of spit out the back here of Daniela Blaymail. And so she's rolling through. The other thing that we talked about, we mentioned this already, someone just on the side of the road screamed to her. She is a hometown favorite here.